Yeah, and to check in, it's always nice to be here.
A breath of fresh air, eh?
Mm. It's a skill, yeah, to learn to communicate and to express ourselves. Mm. I had a tough time with that, with expressing myself because of the fear. But I thought it had something to do with my trauma and my past, my family. But I think the system, and the educational system they've been messing me up, because when you're constant waiting for validation from authority, you got stuck.
Hmm. Yeah, and when you get shut down so many times
Yeah,
because you're speaking your truth, but
yeah,
nobody else is ready to hear it.
yeah. Then the automatic for me was, I was scared of speaking up and afraid of making mistakes, and
Oh, I've been there.
it's a big realization for me. Yeah, now I know that we all perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect.
We learn along the way. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's no good and bad, good or bad or wrong or right. It's just experience that we can
Yeah.
learn from. Mm. Any words for today?
Presence, Chi.
Presence.
Our word will be calmness.
And I'll go with truth.
Mm.
And yours?
Yeah, I'm still thinking. There's a lot of stuff. Connecting. Uh, yeah,
Just like your intention, eh?
yeah, in yeah, So what have brought you here today, this morning, Pascal?
What brought me
Ah.
is, yeah, speaking my truth,
Mm.
speaking my truth. And I have nothing better to do.
Well,
Mm.
you'll have lots to do the next 2 months.
Yeah. And that's what I found it hard, because not to be in this group, or I mean, I'll be able to do it like during my days off, you know, go for a walk again with the dog. But it's not the same, right? Like it's, that's the hardest part I found, you know. I had a nice routine being with you guys and working. It's just, it brightened my day, you know.
And I was like, Chi, in response to your question, like, what is my purpose? And it's like, today is just to be present with each of you. It's like
Mm.
practice of that for me rather than by myself. It's like
Mm.
practicing it with others. That's why I don't get bored alone.
Mm.
Now, it's like if no one shows up, right, then it's like, oh, alone is fine every now and again. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not all the time, right? That's not what I don't want that yet. Maybe I do, right? Maybe, but it's like from before, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's our availability that gives us ability.
Mm.
You know, like being available in the moment, you know, in the present, give us, you know, awareness and ability to be more, maybe. I don't know. I'm still practicing.
Well, I love it. That's I see it, and it's like, so in the present moment, right? Um, it's like we have truth,
Yes.
and then we also have our truth.
Yes.
Huh. And it's like, Pascal, your word is like, oh, what's the difference between them? And it's just like, what is? It's like sitting in the what is. Really, really, it's like, and then as you say it, Pascal, it's like going through what is. And with Heinz, it's like the being, we can choose to go through it calmly, or we can choose to go through it as chaos.
Mm.
That is a practice.
Yeah.
That's just like lifting weights or a diet. And as Pascal, as we came in and celebrated, is like Pascal's getting a promotion, and
Mm.
it's like, oh, and he says, like, I've already been seeing it. So he's been practicing in the invisible, creating this role for himself. And now he's just stepping into it. I honor that because I didn't do that before. I didn't think about that capability or adding that capability.
Mm.
Yeah.
That to me is the importance of serving together in the present
Yeah.
moment. Much greater than what I could come up on my own.
Exactly.
And I might have learned that it's one of my superpower. Because when I applied for the city the first time, like I seen like the city of Calgary truck, and then like I imagined myself, and I didn't know any of that stuff, nothing, right? Like I
Mm.
didn't never learn or anything. It's just like, oh, let me put in myself, because like I love driving, right? So let me put myself in the driver's side, see how it feels. And I was doing that like constantly before going and applying and getting the interview. It's yeah. And this time, like I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But I haven't done it like, like it wasn't like, wow, I'm gonna do it for 2 hours today. No, like I probably did it for probably altogether 5 minutes,
Mm.
that I imagined myself like being that person. And to me, that's crazy. So I just imagine doing it for like hours and then like there's no
Now,
other way, there's no other way.
right now, let's work through that, right? It's like, okay, so yes, you didn't spend a lot of time putting yourself in that position before you were there, but you did, right?
Right.
And as you imagined yourself in there, it's like you created this. What you were doing is you were seeing yourself through it, right? And as you put yourself in that situation, what will come forward is resistance, right? The charge why you can't have it in competition with why you want it. This tug of war, right, will either keep you from going into it, uh, or will pull you through it. And it's like, then it's like, and that is like the truth of, well, what is it? Is it really that I'm afraid of this because of all the reasons I made up, my past patterns? Or is it because I want it, because I want to see what's next? It's like, oh man, this tug of war between these two. Well, what is the truth? I don't know. I've got to quiet. I got to be calm to hear the truth because it is a very quiet, strong sound.
Yes.
And the funny thing to me is like I had a lot of doubt. I
Mhm.
imagine myself there and I'm like, oh, I don't think I'll like that. I don't
Yeah.
think I'll get it. I don't think, you know, like, oh, they they haven't told me anything. Like,
That's right. Oh,
right? And then
blah,
just to
blah,
see
blah,
that,
blah, doubt,
yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah, blah. I'm
exactly.
not good enough, which is, yes, which will not allow you to get it.
Right.
Like we think, like that is why we don't have it.
Hmm.
All the excuses just sabotaging. Yeah.
Yeah, it's to follow these thoughts and then have emotion. But what I think is like, I got to the thought, and then I got back to presence. You know, I didn't get it to like the emotion part, right?
Yeah.
I got this thought that like, oh, I can't get it. I can't get it.
Yeah.
But then like I came back to presence, breathing. Like, I mean, like I had my interview, and then that night I didn't sleep. Not the night that I had my interview, the night after,
Mm.
because I was thinking, oh, no, I should have done that. I should, like the answer they asked, I don't think I answered right. Like, that's not what they're looking for. Blah, 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 nonstop, right? And then what I did, I was like, okay, I know breathing, right? So I put like a video of breathing, and I breathe, and I breathe. And eventually I think I fell asleep a bit, but then I woke up again. But yeah, it was a constant battle. It sounded like.
I love what you're sharing. This is really good. This is thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, like I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, this is valuable. Really, it's some practice I can use myself.
It is, and it's like the truth of it is yes, you could have done all those things better, Pascal. But the truth is you didn't. It wasn't there for you in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, and now that it's here, like the truth of it is like now that it's here, it does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I keep looking back, worrying about what I could have, should have, mm, needed to say,
Didn't.
didn't say, yeah, it's like so what?
Yeah.
Now, the point, like the truth of that is like, okay, well, is there something different to do? Or is that like, do I need to take another action? Or is it just a pattern that I'm beating myself up with? And I mean, it's like the reasons why we don't have what we want, like the reasons we give ourselves is the reasons why we don't have what we want. Like to see that,
Mm.
to see that insanity relieve, it allows us to go through it.
Mm.
And so you look at it and it's like, oh, so in that it's like, what am I attaching to, right? What am I attaching to? Because that's where we become that's where we can come out of presence is what am I attaching to?
Mm-hmm.
I was attaching to the outcome,
That's right. That's right. It's like,
even
oh,
though I got told many times that's not your attracting.
Mm.
Right?
that's right. And the thing with that is like, oh, now we've got timing in there too, right? And it's like, oh, like I want that outcome, but yeah, that outcome might come uh, in a whole different timeline than you think.
Yeah. So I was attached and then I detach myself and I completely you'll say like surrender to it, right? I'm like, okay,
Mm.
it's done. It's done. I did
Yeah.
my interview. Now it's not my decision anymore. Right? I took the decision of like, okay, I'm gonna study this, I'm gonna have to prepare for the interview, all that stuff. I did all that. Now it's not in my hand anymore. Or is it?
It's all in the preparation.
Because if we're all one, it's still my decision.
Mhm.
It's so interesting. It's like you said, you spoke about, oh, I would see myself in the position, right? Doing it, being it, like imagining myself doing that. And then, then you came back to it and said, oh, you were worried about all the things you didn't say in the interview.
Yeah.
It's like
So I
this.
did both things.
Yeah, right. And it's like we do. It's like, oh, we can do both. That is how we get out of things, right? And it's like,
Mm.
oh, rather than seeing it and going through it, it's like, oh, like it's like the interview itself, right? It's like, oh, somebody else may have been nervous about it. You weren't.
Yeah, and that's so true. Like I had no nerves, none.
Mm.
I was like, let's just go with it, right? Like it's I didn't like feel it was an interview. I felt it was more like just a conversation with three guys.
Mhm.
But I remember having an interview for uh, it was even just like a volunteer firefighter, and everybody are dressed as a firefighter, and that intimidated me.
Mm.
But these guys are just dressing as normal, right? And even like, and I was dressing better than them. That's the thing, right? So it's gonna give me confidence in a sense. The illusion of confidence.
Mm.
And I even like, I was picking my clothes, and then my wife was like, this is too much, and it was just like a dress shirt and pants. And because like my first time when I got an interview from the city, I had the full suit, and I was the only one. Funny enough, like I was the only one that was wearing a suit.
Mm.
And then I told a story, and one foreman came back to me like after 6 years. He said, "You know what? I've done an interview for, I don't know, 10 years now." And he says, like, the interview that really moved me the most, it was yours 6 years
Wow.
ago.
Wow.
And he says, like, I had no choice to give you the position.
Mhm.
And that's what probably was different about my interview. It wasn't that my story was so good or anything like that. I think it was the structure, the way I put things together. And
Wow, you see.
because I was not nervous, I could see their reaction.
Mm,
I wasn't thinking about myself. I was looking at the way they react, and
mm.
I was able to adjust.
That's so cool. Yeah.
But I still think I didn't do good. Like, that's the funny thing. At the time, and then now, like, I'm talking to you guys, I'm like, oh, well, I did that, and maybe I was one of the only one that did it. Who knows?
That's the beauty of this conversation we have here. We, when somebody shared their story, we got an opportunity to see through the other person's eyes. And it can be something I never thought of myself. Yeah, we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's only my perspective, right?
Hmm.
And another thing that happened is, like, same thing as Jesse that, like, mentioned, like, he saw an ad on, I think he said Facebook, I believe, or YouTube, and I don't get these ads on YouTube because I pay the premium, but the Facebook one, and it was a master class on communication, and I was drawn to take it, not knowing that, like, they're gonna post position on, to have a different position in the city. I had no idea, right? And I went through that, and it definitely helped me. And the interview was just a practice. Let me test it out.
Mm.
But that's not the end, right? Like, it's just the beginning. Now I gotta ask
Mhm.
the question, it's like, what else is possible for me?
Yep.
Because if it's not that, it's what's not possible for me.
Exactly. Yeah. And I got a lot of those too.
Mm. Yeah. It's like, I think we begin to recognize, like, those are where our lessons are. We just don't know, like, how big the lesson will be. I mean, you think about it, if the next interaction, like, was going to change your life, you would really pay attention to it, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
you would
and,
think, yeah.
and
Hmm.
then would it really change your life if you, like, huh, interesting. Now, we never know like which moment is going to be that next like life-changing moment. We really only see it after the fact, like later
Mm-hmm.
on down the road. So it's only looking back do we see it. So what I've noticed is how much I was getting in my way of allowing the good things into my life. Like that is insanity.
Mm.
But it was the way I knew life. It was the way I saw life. It was the structure of my life was that back and forth that we talked about earlier, right? That conflict between why I can't, like justification, judging myself, telling myself that I can't, I'm not good enough, right? And then the desire to prove that I was.
Mm.
None of those had words until I looked at them. I was unaware that that would even happen, but it's a tug of war in my life that was never good enough. It was empty because I wouldn't allow myself to feel. Wouldn't allow myself to be with other people because I wasn't comfortable being myself.
Mm.
I sure wouldn't tell you of that in the moment. I would never have admitted that then.
Yeah. And I can tell in your voice,
Yeah.
you know, that the biggest change is your voice. Like I remember, like if it was yesterday, the first interaction I had with you, like I felt the anger behind your words, and now I don't. Like it's a lot more like a soft-spoken person. Before it was like I knew you had so much knowledge and so much to offer, but you were getting frustrated by people that don't get it right away.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And it was like I realized my anger was not from not being heard.
Yeah.
That was my attachment. See? That's why I was angry. And it wasn't like angry's like probably a strong word for it. So it was more of a
Right.
constantly frustrated, but the anger would pop up very easily
It
because
was
I was
just around the
already,
corner.
yeah, I was already in the state of frustration, right?
Yeah.
It was like, it was
And I mean,
my,
I saw you in a setting that like it was the helping and like you were a coach, right? So I can just imagine you like in a very frustrated like situation. You would lose your shit.
yeah, you didn't want to be around.
Right. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
it was the thing. Yeah. And it was
I,
never me. It was never me. But it was too. It was like I felt as if I was forgiving, but I really wasn't forgiving.
yeah, I remember like you tell us a story about it was you and your son. And I believe like the guy beside that parked his car or something, like he accused his son that like he hit his car. Do you remember? You said that, something like that, and then like you went to see him, and then like it wasn't like kind of an explanation. You were like kind of what's up, like like are we good? Are we good now? Right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. It
it's like
was
he was blaming, kind of like, oh, because it's your son, I can take a beating at him, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. He was trying to get us to pay for a previous ding. It wasn't even close.
Right.
Yeah.
Something like
Troy,
that. Yeah.
Troy, open your door. Troy, open your door. Let's see if it hits his car at that same mark, right? Because it would make the same mark. That's proof. Like that is the truth, right? That's
Yeah.
the truth. He was making up something else, and
And take a
you know,
good swing at it.
yeah, it's like here, open it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, that didn't even line up at all. It's like, are we good?
Oh, it's completely at the, it's
Yeah.
not there at all.
Yeah. Are we good? So he's like caught. Like, who would have, like, he didn't think I was going to do that. I didn't know I was going to do that, but it's like, oh, that's just like that proved. It was like, and if he did open it and hit it, it's like, okay, right? We did it. Right? Like, let's fix it. But if he didn't, it's like, and I would have normally been like, I'm right. And like, my anger would have come out at that point to defend and retaliate, right? So no matter the situation, my anger would have loved to shown its head. But you know, that to me is like, I'll give it a word, is like connecting in with my theta brain waves, right? You know, maybe it's theta, I don't know, but I'm going to call it that. And it's like it's like to open that up as a practice is to journey into that door so that we can use all of ourselves in life. We can participate. All of us can participate. And then from that is like then our genius, like what we're here for, begins to blossom. And we can see it turning into flower. We can see it turning into something. And it's like it turns into a promotion, Pascal, right? It turns into things going this way, that way. And it's just opening more doors. We call it flow. It's like, oh, we're flowing rather than that tug of war.
We lost Pascal.
No, Pascal. He moved up to the foreman. He's got real responsibilities now.
No, 2 months of training first.
Yeah, if you wouldn't think that working underneath of them is not enough training. Do as I say, not as I do. No, we can still have the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm listening because I have some noisy background. You know, all the kids are home, and
You're good, Chi.
Mhm.
It can't be any other way. So I mean, what choice do I have?
but I'm enjoying listening.
Hmm.
Really, it hits home for me as well.
Expanding perspective.
Yep. Because when it's one, it's fixed, it's dug in, it's anchored. doesn't move. You know, it's like a jail. I mean, that's not where you want to be.
Doesn't have any possibilities to it.
Mm-mm. It can't be anything else then. That's the problem. It's like it has to show up that way. And so we keep wanting it to show up that way. And so that's the only way we look for it. We don't give it any other way to show up. Yeah, it was quite a seductive ad. They almost got my $39.
I've seen that one
Yeah.
too.
But as I went through it, it was like, wow, what a way to like, what a way to test like my my triggers is to watch something like that from an observer perspective, right? And just see which way it pulls my emotions. And like in what ways is like, oh, if they make a claim, like what's my response to it? Like how does it like do I believe them? Like that was the big thing I was going through. I was validating, like, am I these guys said a lot of what I say, like what I think, what I believe, what I'm going for. So it's like, oh wow. Like so I'm connected, like where are we similar? Right. And then it's like, oh, what are they trying to get me to do? Right. Uh and it just like seeing like what I was attached to. Um I think it's very obvious in a sales conversation. We just, I just can notice that I can put pressure on myself, right? And I'm not aware. I get out of the present moment and I get into something else that I'm not like I don't want to be.
Put you into sort of a dream state. Bye, bye, bye.
Yeah, it's an unconscious state. I don't think it's a dream. I wouldn't call it a dream state the way I call it dream. Like I know what you mean though, Heinz. It's just not my word would be like trance.
Mm.
Zombies. That's more like where I think of it.
Mm.
because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I heard it to activate your genius. What was it? Genius waves. Let's
Yep.
say, yeah,
Yep.
7 minute music or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 minutes of sound, right? And it's like, oh, yeah. And it is what we do here. It is what I've found is like when I listen to Pascal spoke to it, he's like, I heard anger in your voice, not with what you said or not how you acted, but I could hear it in your voice. It's like,
Yeah, the
oh,
change in your voice is like, it's phenomenal.
yeah,
The sounds on YouTube if you looked for them.
exactly. That's we can't see change while we're in it. Change takes a lot of time and people don't have the patience for it.
Everybody wants the magic pill.
That's right. And proof and proof and proof of the magic pill.
Definitely.
Well, like you say, Pascal, it's like if you can point to just the changes in the voice, like that is people, then it's like that. There's no, that is truth then.
Yeah, I can change my voice. You know, when I talk to Kai or even my wife, I play the goofball something, right? But which is 90% of the time, but yeah. But then I go back to my regular voice, right? And then like Vin says, like he says, your voice is not your voice. Your voice is your habitual voice.
Yep.
What does habitual mean?
It's from your habit, from your behavior,
Oh,
from
okay, yeah.
what you took on the way. So like for Jesse, you say like because he's more gentle with himself and more compassion, then his voice softened.
Yeah.
And he becomes so weak. No, I'm just kidding.
And you got so weak. Let's hear your voice change.
Oh man.
Oh man.
You hit it right on you hit the purpose right on the head.
Yeah.
I couldn't there's no way to reveal weakness, and emotions were in my perspective weakness.
Well, it's like we talk about vulnerability, right?
Yep.
That it's a weakness.
Yeah.
Right. But it moved people, and then like, at that time, like, because I was vulnerable, talking about a story, then that got me a job. So it's not because they felt sorry for me, right? You know what I mean? Like it's like because it moves
You
them,
sure
right?
that?
Like they relate to them. Even though they're wearing a mask of like, oh, I'm so tough, oh, I'm your boss, right? But inside of them, they're not. yeah, I got booed out again. I don't know how long I was that I was out, but then like I was like I talked for a long time, first of all, and then I didn't hear anything after that. And I'm like, huh. So I look at my phone like, oh yeah, of course. I'm not even there.
And it was just a 5 minute or so.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it could have been about 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was saying, I won't like repeat the whole thing, but what I was saying is because otherwise I'll get booed out again. So if a situation happened in your life and you're not dealing with it, right? You're not releasing the emotion from it, that you will get another version of that situation, but in a more complicated way. That's what I heard, like, and I had to reflect on that, on my life, and to find that it's true. And to me, it was like to lend money. I lent money when I was about 20, and it took about 3 years to get it back. And I remember all these emotions coming up, but then instead than like processing the emotion, I kind of release it on the other person. And I was talking that I'm a Scorpio, so don't mess with me. Like I can take a lot, but when it gets to the tail, it's deadly. There's no like, oh, give me a third or fourth chance. No, that's it. I strike. So, but then it happened again in my life just before COVID, and I had a friend of mine that asked money to start his own business, and like I was supposed to get like a good return on my investment, and I did at first, but then COVID hits, and then like one thing led to another. Like it was like a um electric bikes that he wanted to sell, so he was getting them from China and resell them, retune them, changing things, and then like selling them for more. And then like the bikes got stuck to the port, like so many things happened. And then like I know it's true, you know, because he showed me all the proof, but it's not about that. It's me not having dealt with the situation in the first place. And now it's more complicated because it's one of my best friend here. Right? So, and that's what I'm saying. When it will get more and more complicated, and it's more money and all that stuff. And then we see each other at least every couple of weeks. We talk to each other a couple of times a week, right? So I experience the teaching, and I'm like, this is so true. So if you can deal with it right there and then you're past that. It's almost like when you go to school and then you pass your exam on like 6th grade, but you don't have to do it again. You shouldn't, right? Like, what's the point?
So good, Pascal. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And my son went out the door again.
He went to the what? Sorry? What did you
He
say?
went out the door again. He came back during the meeting. He was supposed to go bowling, but then his friend called and said it wasn't until 4:20, and so he went back home again, and now he's gone again. It's almost 4 o'clock, so he didn't know if he wanted to go bowling, but told him, well, then you're not keeping your word. That's all we really got in this world. It's our word. That was the reason my word was actually calmness today, because I was calm watching my animation, just sitting on the couch and everything, and all of a sudden he burst in and everything was just wrong. Everything. And I had to tell him, well, you're pointing your finger at the rest of the world. Well, while you're pointing one finger out, 3 is pointing at you. Maybe you should change your attitude. He didn't really like that one, but sort of gave me a calmness.
He doesn't have
That
to like
dad
it.
role.
Like right there and then you spoke your truth and that's it. You left it at that.
Yep. Those wisdom words that he won't even listen to at this moment, but maybe in 10 years it'll come to him what kind of wisdom it actually was. Like the rest of us when our dad spoke.
Yes. And he's interesting thing, he'd be like, you know what I heard today, Dad? Right? And you'll be like, yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah. Oh wow, wow. Never heard that
definitely you heard
before,
this.
right?
Definitely you heard this today. Yeah, he tells me a lot. Well, everybody's telling me that. Well, then you might want to listen to it. I just told everybody can't be wrong, and you're right. That's definitely your ego speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And he just says, "Well, I like my ego." Well, that ain't gonna get you so far, that far. That'll make you a lonely person. Well, at least he went bowling now. At least he kept his word. He said, "I, I probably don't want to go anyway." Well, then you're breaking your word. I told him, and it's free. Why wouldn't you go if somebody else asks you?
Mm.
It helps with socializing.
Yeah, you're only breaking your will.
Yep.
And that was the same thing, right? Like I had my version of it when I was young, right? Like you say you're gonna do this or you're gonna clean your room or whatever, right? And then you don't do it.
Yeah. It's because, oh my God, when you're young, using 5 minutes on cleaning your room, what am I supposed to do with those missing 5 minutes without those in my life? What have you been doing the last hour? Sitting, scrolling on the phone. Whoa, really productive. Children, we weren't better ourselves. I'll do it later. Yeah,
There's
of
a lot
course.
more of EMF, right? Yes. nowadays.
There's what?
EMF. When they're on the phone constantly, there's a lot of frequencies that mess up with them,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
with the
yeah, for
brain
sure.
and so on.
Yeah.
At least we had a legal excuse. We were out playing ball.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
We are right, they're wrong. Yep.
And it's or that take the 2 extra seconds, right, and put your dish in the dishwasher. And you can tell
I'll do
them
it
all you
later.
want. Yeah,
Jesse,
exactly.
I'll do it
Yeah,
later.
Someone else will do it later. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do it
And
tomorrow.
here,
I promise that.
and here's my attachment. It'll be Dad that does it. There's my taking
Well,
it personal, right? There's my frustration. And like you said, Pascal, right? See
Mhm.
it and deal with it in the moment. Don't let it fester. Don't let it attach. Don't let it build. See, that's what I did with my frustration. I allowed my frustration to become my foundation.
Mhm.
you can also change perspective.
That's right.
Wow, my son thought of me again. He lifted the plate for me too.
That's right. It's like, oh,
Oh, so much love.
what a great dad
Yeah,
I am. Look at me.
yeah,
Look at the great dad that I am.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't teach him anything. Oh, darn it.
No,
What a
I know.
horrible father I am.
Yeah,
Do you see the craziness here?
yep.
The insanity from an sane person? Uh-huh.
We're here to teach them responsibilities, but if we don't tell them, then we're not. They call it nagging. We call it teaching.
Oh God, don't tell anyone what to do.
No, no, no.
Dear God.
Just tell them, don't wash off your dish and don't put it in the dishwasher. I'll do it. Listen to me. You will.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a great day. Thank you for spending it
Thanks.
together.
You all have a
Yeah,
blessed
same
day.
here. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Love and hugs.
Have a
Bye.
great day.
Yeah, you
Bye.
too. Love and hugs.
Thank you. 11 hours.